seated. Thank you. I'm not like those other people. You know, we chuckle at that because I think in some ways we recognize ourselves in there. In both those characters. There's that side of us. Okay? There's that side of me that I can look out at the world and I may not use those exact words, but pretty close. I could make a long list of names of people that I am so glad I'm not like them. And see, I'm standing up here doing it in front of all of you, so I know that every one of us has got that list. We've all got that list. And there might be some overlap, but it might be amazing how many names, if we just sat down and everybody compared their lists, how many names we could come up with. And, you know, what we're doing when we do that is we are separating ourselves off, or sealing ourselves off from those people. And as the list expands, all those people that we look down our nose at, or our blood pressure goes up at the thought of, or however we respond to them, we're sealing ourselves off from them with our preconceptions, because we absolutely know exactly how they are and the way they think and everything about them, so we think, because we have just categorized them, sealed them off, and there they are. We've cast them in bronze, and they're just beyond that. We've cut ourselves off from them. Of course, in doing so, we're also cutting ourselves off from God. Because anytime we cut ourselves off from any of God's creation, since God is present in all of that, we're cutting ourselves off from God. It's the extremes, you know, because the other guy is also doing the same thing. The tax collector, taken to its extreme, you know, there's humility. That's a good, healthy thing. But humility is not constantly downgrading ourselves, denigrating ourselves. Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa as a lifestyle. Always regarding oneself as a miserable offender. Is doing the same thing. It's cutting ourselves off from God and other people. Because it's, for one thing, we become self-obsessed with our own sinfulness. And we cut ourselves off. We cannot be in right relationship with God and God's creation if we have sealed ourselves off as being too unworthy to even be here. So the two extremes of this are well, in a sense, sinful. Because what we've done is cut ourselves off from God and creation, God and God's people, in both instances. And as in most things, there is a middle path that we're called on to take. A healthy sense of who we are incorporates a sense of our strengths short of all that self-exaltation and denigration of others, but also a sense of, what's the euphemism? Our growth areas. Both of those things all of that is who we are. And to lay claim to one side or the other as our total identity is a complete lack of self-knowledge. Because all of us are a constellation of all of those things, all of those traits. And so our motivation in the spiritual path is best when it is growth in knowledge of who we are. Who we are just within our skin, who we are in relationship to those around us, who we are in relationship to the divine. When we are, during this time, reflecting upon our stewardship of our financial assets, it's important for us to look at not only why we do give, but why we don't give. Do we give out of trying to buy our way out of some sense of going to buy God's favor with our generosity? Or are we giving because we think that maybe it's going to give us even more of an in with the boss, with God? If I look really generous, maybe God will overlook all this other stuff. Do I not give because I already know that I am so good that it's just irrelevant how much I give? Or do I not give because the money would be so tainted by my sinfulness that God wouldn't even want to use that money? All of these things are part of it. Why is it that we would go about acts of generosity? What are the motivations? And these are the questions on today's little handout. What are the motivations for giving? What are my motivations for giving? As part of that growth in self-knowledge, to be honest with ourselves about that. Is it easy to fall into pride or into shame about giving? How do judgment of others and judgment of self get in the way of receiving God's grace? All of these things are part of this reflection, and in a way it's getting down more and more focused as to what this is about, this reflection. It's not just a bean counter reflection of why it is we're giving what we're giving or not giving what we're not giving, but it is a personal reflection. And it's also important, the way in which we've had folks, and Kim will do it today, get up and talk about their own experience of that. Let's be clear, that's not the same as the Pharisees say, boy, I'm glad I'm not like you bozos. It's different to share that reflection with other people. It's important for us to do that as a community, not sit down with our checkbooks and compare notes. But the reflection part behind it is an important part of this. And to have members of the congregation get up and talk about their experience is, I think, an important part of that group dynamic that parish life is really about. It's important that our parish life is not just kind of coffee hour chit-chat. It's important that we share this life together in whatever ways we're ready to at any particular point. But it's a good thing that we are able to share both our victories, you might say, and our defeats, our pain and our joy. All of those things are an important part of that. And here is an opportunity. So today, you have a handout from Dr. Joseph Thompson, who's a seminarian at Virginia, the seminary in Virginia. And I would invite you to take this home, to read it through, to look at those reflection questions, and to actually sit with those questions and ask yourself in your reflection, where am I in these questions? Where am I in this story, in this parable? And how has it impacted me in my ability to share in the bounty of what I have, however great or small that bounty may be?